Merkel Media.
Hey everybody, remember that episode 335, Dog versus Dogman, where we had that guy Kyle come on the show and he shared his most dramatic story we probably ever had on the show about being attacked by a dog man? Remember how I said I was going to go to Kentucky and hunt that dog man in October last year, and how me and a team of guys went into the Daniel Boone National Forest looking for this creature? Remember how I said I was going to make that documentary? Well, guess what? Now the time has come. The documentary is here. So listen closely because you don't want to miss the details right now. If you want to be one of the world's first viewers of this legendary documentary, you got to go to merkel.media. That's not merkel.media.com. It's merkel.media. Put that in your URL. It will take you to Merkel Media's website, and there you can register on the website to be a VIP viewer on March 11th, 2022. You'll be able to log into your account on that day and watch Expedition Dogman live with hundreds, thousands, millions of viewers, and myself and my team. And then afterwards, we are going to go ahead and go live with a live Q&A where people can actually call into the show. They can ask questions live on the show. They can ask questions in the chat that will be available. They can chat back and forth on the website during the documentary premiere with other viewers. Lots of cool options for this VIP premiere on Merkel.media. So if you want to get that early access and be one of the first people in the world to watch this documentary, the only way to do it is on Merkel.media. Register to be a VIP and get that early access on. Also, if you don't want that early access, you can wait until March 25th, where we actually do a public premiere right there on the Confessionals YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be part of the early hype, that's okay. You just have to wait a couple weeks and you can watch it live on YouTube, March 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every showing, March 11th and March 25th, will premiere at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys are excited because I'm super excited. And for the next 2 hours, you're going to listen to me talk with my team of guys that I took to Kentucky to hunt the dog man. And we're going to talk about our experience down there, priming you guys for this legendary documentary. Oh, and also go to YouTube right now, the Confessionals YouTube channel, hit subscribe and watch the official trailer for Expedition Dogman. Okay, now let's get to the show.
This was all circulating around the base that a giant had been killed, but no one was supposed to talk about it.
I saw 3 long, bony fingers reach up underneath the door, curl up to grab it, and then disappear.
When he came over to me, dude, he slithered over to me.
And this giant comes out of the cave and they're all frozen. And he starts running and firing at this giant. Well, the giant moves. He's got a spear in one hand and he's running really fast and spears Dan and holds him up like this. Somebody yells, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. They basically decapitate him.
Got closer. When he got about 15 yards away from me, I raised that 12 gauge and I blowed his head off.
I feel something pulling at my leg, and I look over and there are 2 small gray entities pulling at me. And they're literally, I'm getting pulled off the bed.
I reached my hand into this bush and I touched air. Couldn't breathe and I couldn't move because I know I'm seeing a monster.
Yep. Welcome to the show, everybody. You're listening to The Confessionals. I'm your host, Tony Merkel. Thanks for being here. If you have a crazy, wild experience you want to share with me on the show, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email address is theconfessionals@theconfessionalspodcast.com. That's theconfessionals@theconfessionalspodcast.com. or go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com. Hit the contact section. You can reach me that way as well. Either way works for me. Just get a hold of me. If you want more shows on a weekly basis, we drop member shows every Thursday. Plus, you get the Tuesday shows ad-free. And when we do the overtime shows, you have access to the overtime segments as well when you're a member, all on the website and the Castos app. So if that interests you, go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com, hit the join button, and become a member today. Now, we got a different show today, friends. We are just going to get right into it. Fellas, I know I told you before we started to have your mics muted. I think it might be a little inconvenient, so let's just go ahead and unmute your microphones. I'm a little, I get a little pet peevy when it comes to audio quality and stuff. Jack can attest to that, but I think today we're just going to do the best we can because I want the conversation to be free-flowing. So we got a very interesting, I would say interesting show. We're actually making this an announcement show because a lot of people have been for a long time asking me, actually since, you know what, I was having people ask me when the Dogman documentary was coming out before we went to Kentucky to hunt the Dogman. So I've been having a lot of people ask me, well, today we're announcing that we are actually dropping the Dogman documentary. We have a date now, 2 dates actually. So let's just get the business out of the way, and then we're going to get the crew of guys here because I have my whole team of guys here. And you know what? Let me just introduce them here. We got Jack Merkel, young Merk, my younger brother. We got Christian Roper. We got Joel Thomas and Ward Heine. Guys, I appreciate you hopping on here and recording with me. We're actually recording this at 9:30 at night on Monday. This is going to be releasing in just a few hours. But we're dropping the Dogman documentary. I thought today would be a great day to talk about our journey, where we're going with Legion of Legends, and just general conversation and stuff. So I want to let everybody know up front what the deal is. On March 11th, 2022, we are going to be dropping a VIP premiere. That means it's only available to people who are VIPs, and that's going to be available on Merkel.media. That is the website, friends. I know a lot of people, when I tell them Merkel, well, I don't tell a whole lot of people about Merkel.media until now, but whenever I was talking to potential clients and stuff, because I totally transformed that website in the last 24 hours. But when I was talking to potential clients and stuff, I'd say Merkel.media, like .com. I'm like, no, it's just Merkel.media. So like the media part is like the .com, I guess. So if people go to Merkel.media, they'll see the whole website there, and you can get access to the VIP premiere on March 11th. You got to just sign up. It's $25 for the premiere, and everything that we earn from the VIP premieres, we are going to be reinvesting it into the next journey. We've discussed this before and stuff, and so well, we can talk about it a little bit later and stuff, but it got pricey. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, when I was talking about doing Kentucky, I was like, oh, we'll just drive down there, a few bucks for gas, put up some hammocks in the woods, hunt Dogman, go home for dinner, it's going to be great. And I was like, holy crap, the costs were mounting up. And what the crazy thing was, is that I had that whole other thing scheduled for later that week, and I got cabins for that. And then I was like, I'm going home. And so I think I still had to pay for it, but I was just like, I miss my family. I just wanted to go home. So, anyways, I'm getting distracted. Jack, keep me on target, man, if I go off track too much. So listen, friends, let's just cut down to it. March 11th is the VIP premiere. If you want to be a VIP and gain access to this special premiere, you want to go to Merkel.media and become a VIP. It's $25 one-time fee, not recurring, nothing like that. It's just $25. And then on the 11th, all you got to do is go to Merkel.media, and you'll have access to watching the premiere live with us. That's where we're going to be broadcasting it, right there on the website, Merkel.media, on the watch page. It's the page is actually called Watch Expedition Dogman, which is what we called it. Now, for the rest of the people, the public, we are premiering on March 25th on the Confessionals YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be a premiere and you want to wait the 2 weeks and miss all the hype, just go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, The Confessionals, and we'll be premiering it there on March 25th. Now, the times for both of these dates will be 9 p.m. It's a Friday each day. We're going to do 9 p.m. each day. I figure that's enough time for people to get, kids to bed and things like that. At least for the East Coast people. The West Coast people are like, well, I'm eating dinner that time, but I guess I'll skip dinner. So, fellas, so how you guys doing? Everybody's doing good. It's been a little while since we all were together talking and stuff about this. Now, I think what we'll do is, first off, I want to just say something here to Christian. So Christian is the one who cut the documentary. I guess that's the right terminology, cutting. In my terms, I'm just like, he produced it. He made it. He pushed the buttons and turned the knobs. But we have a documentary that Christian put a lot of time into. But Christian, how was this whole process for you, man? I mean, like, we were out there doing our thing, but I know for you going into this, you had some skeptical opinions, and I'm sure you shared on the documentary and stuff as well. But I mean, the process from, committing to doing this with me to today, has your thoughts and opinions changed it at all?
Absolutely. I think when I first got into documentary filmmaking, it was from a completely different area, a different genre of filmmaking. You guys are aware, but a lot of people don't know. I spent the last about 3 years of my life tracking down pirate legends of all things and working with TV shows and documentaries in that. And then Tony gives me a call one day and says, "I want you to come help me look for a werewolf." And so it was a little bit out there for me. And at this point in my life, there is really nothing I won't say yes to if I feel like I can't get an interesting story out of it. And so my mind was completely unbiased. I wanted to go in. I wanted to see what this eyewitness was made of in terms of credibility, what the land was like, to chase down tangential stories of Kentucky, and we surely came across those. And when we got there, we didn't know what would happen. We didn't know the structure. We didn't know who would take charge in this way, but everything really meshed perfectly. And we went in with a little bit of an idea of what story we wanted on the way out. And I'm not sure even that the story is ever going to have a definite answer with anything that we look into. These topics are always evolving. And this one, even after we left, there were multiple developments that kept adding on to the uniqueness of this story. But yeah, it's been a really fun ride, very different. I went in a complete skeptic, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit, but that second day that we were there, that encounter that we had, it's one of those things that I've thought about most days since. And I'm glad that I got to share that experience with Joel. And it's one of those things that really make you think. And in my relationship with Kyle now, we've become pretty good friends since. I can say without a doubt, this is maybe the most intriguing project I've ever worked on, because I was able to find some answers for myself, but ultimately I came away with more questions. And as a documentary filmmaker, that's something that really bothers you. And so it's a good thing to say that this project will always bother me for the rest of my life, really.
I mean, good. And, I feel like we really hit it out of the park on this first one. And part of me felt like, oh man, are we doing that whole classic, you hit the home run first at bat kind of thing, and then you suck the rest of the 9 innings kind of thing? Because I was worried about that. I was thinking like, man, this is so good that, are we going to have to, like, we have a bar that's setting really high, and is this going to be something we can replicate as far as maybe, the entertainment value, the all that, and when we were talking earlier this year, when we had our meeting about the future of Legion of Legends, which we'll get into, I just felt like the places we were discussing going, especially the second place we're planning on going next to. Let's just put it generically out west. Like that, I think people are going to absolutely love. And then the recent development that I told you guys in the chat thread, that if that happens with the other podcast guy, you know, like that could be huge. And so the fact that we have just those two lined up for this year, hopefully, I think Legion of Legends is off to a really good start. And I'll just tell you, and this is more for the audience than anything, I cannot believe that, and I keep saying it this way, I accidentally found the perfect team. Because like the team was a lot more people than what we had down there. The team was completely different, and then just through different things happening, guys dropped off. And I'm literally left. Joel, when did I ask you to come? Like at what point? Like that was like 2 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before you reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, I don't know if you'd want to." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So yeah, I was ready to go. I'm always ready for something like that. So yeah, no, it was very kind of last minute, and you were kind of tentative when you asked me to. Like, I don't know if this would be up your alley, and I'm just like, you know, where are you going to be? So yeah. Because I didn't want to invite anybody that I didn't feel comfortable with, you know, and I was like, well, I mean, I know he's really into talking about the global cabal and conspiracies and raging against the raging against dystopia, but you know, I was like, I don't know if hunting monsters is up his alley, really, you know. And then I saw your tattoo on your arm with the alien on the back. I was like, okay, yeah, he's about that life. And so, but I mean, it just like. Like 2-3 weeks before we had to be in Kentucky, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to have anybody coming with me, you know, outside the camera guys? And I was like, I might be in a little having a little issue here, you know? And so I was very nervous. And then when we go down and stuff, I mean, I had met Christian in Houston back in 2019. Joel, you and I spent a day together recording for the show, and Ward, you and I probably spent about a day talking on the phone together sometimes, you know, mostly my fault. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a chatty guy, but hey, podcaster here. So I had experience with everybody, but I was just like, a week with these guys, I just don't know if we're going to have the chemistry or not. So I went into it very open-minded, where I was just like, we're going to really try to do this, and we're going to see how it goes. But I think it was like within the first day, I was like, oh yeah, we're finding a groove here. The second day, I was like, these are my guys. And then I wasn't sure if you guys were feeling the same way until we got, you know, chatting about things down there. And then when we had our meeting on Zoom and stuff, and everybody was just like, yep, if you want to do more of these, let's do it. So, I mean, all that to say, you know, with what Christian was saying about going in as a skeptic and this being, you know, a very unique project for him, he's got a lot more coming his way, because he hitched his boat to me. So, you know, we're going to have some fun. But Ward, we were going into this, and Christian said he was a skeptic. Now, my brother Jack is here, and I don't know how much he's going to talk, because he actually wasn't on the trip, you know, but he was one of the guys that bailed on me and decided he wasn't willing to come on this journey. I think he was a little scared. People who want to... Anybody who wants to probe that idea, you can email Jack at theconfessionalsjack@gmail.com. So go ahead and email Jack at theconfessionalsjack@gmail.com and ask him why he bailed on this whole journey. But yes, Jack, that's why I asked you for your email before we started. But Christian is going in as a skeptic. Jack is my in-house skeptic. Like, I mean, Jack is interested in the topics. He likes talking about it. He likes going on the journeys, all that stuff. But Jack will tell you he does not believe in Bigfoot. He does not believe in Dogman. Is that right, Jack? Or am I putting words in your mouth?
No, you're right.
Okay, that's what I thought. And so, like, Christian kind of became my Jack for the week with the skepticism. But Ward, you were a little skeptical too, but in a different sense. Like, I think you believed that people were experiencing something, but you didn't seem to feel like what they're experiencing might be what traditionally is thought as a dogman, a physical creature, but more of a darker route, right?
Yeah. So I had some experience with the project I was working on in just strangeness. And I know that, at least in my limited experience, it seems like whatever it is that you go looking for is never quite what finds you. But in both of these projects so far, we've had something that you struggle to explain later in terms of, just physical linear cause and effect that we're all used to. So, yeah, I mean, going into it, I had this interest in the strangeness that surrounds Kentucky and Appalachia that I've been pursuing for a while. And I think I still suspect that there's something connected to all of that that's at play here. But I mean, the benefit of that theory is that it's so vague, it can accommodate almost anything that happens. So,
yeah.
But the reason for that is because so much strange stuff happens that's not readily identifiable. So yeah, I thought that maybe one of my hypotheses for what might explain these people's encounters, particularly after meeting Kyle, and his credibility is really difficult to dismiss. And so after meeting him, and I've heard other stories that I find the people credible, I think that they are describing what they perceive to have experienced accurately. And but I think that perception could be caused by something other than literally a physical material creature that's running around in the woods.
Yeah, that is something that I was kind of introduced to shortly before I went to Kentucky. I mean, obviously, throughout the years of the show, I had growing opinions on how all this stuff works. And when I first started the show, cryptids were physical in my mind. Actually, I lie. I was transitioning my mindset because I was really exploring this whole Nephilim angle, and I started thinking of the possibilities, but I really wasn't talking a whole lot about it publicly. And as the show went on, and my brain just kind of changed on a lot of things. I started feeling that cryptids there could be something more to it. But then when I was doing having a conversation with Josh Turner from Paranormal Roundtable on this show, and he was talking about the idea of metaphysical dogman. For whatever reason, he didn't introduce like new concepts to me, but the way he said it just kind of like made things click in my brain. And I was like, oh, that kind of really lays out a path for me to really kind of sift through mentally. And I'll tell you guys, I'm driving to Kentucky and it's 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm approaching like somewhere between Harrisburg, Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh. Now I'm coming from the Philly area, and I had to drive straight across the state and then down through West Virginia just so I would avoid Maryland. So I did, just in case I got pulled over by a cop, I'm not breaking any gun laws. And so I'm going a long way. So I turned like I think it was probably supposed to be like a 10-hour ride to like a 4-hour ride or 14-hour ride. And I'm somewhere out there in the middle of nowhere, and I'm listening to I know some of you guys know who I'm talking about. He has a YouTube channel, Tim Pool, and he typically covers culture, politics, things like that. And it was beginning of October,
and they were doing, their usual thing, but they were also talking about, spooky things. And they had one of their in-house guys, Shane Cashman, on, and I actually was on Shane's show. So Shane started a show through Tim Pool's media company, and I went down in November of last year to their studio and recorded with them. And I got to know Shane. He's a great guy. But Shane, my introduction to Shane was this story. So I forget how they got on this topic, but Shane talked about how through his research with paranormal stuff, he came across a woman that he was talking with that was she was in a school of mystery. Now, people who maybe don't know what a school of mystery is, think Harry Potter, I guess, only less theatrical. It's literally they have schools that they teach you how to do witchcraft, and a lot of these schools are very secretive. It's not like they have websites. It's very kind of low key. I don't know if hers was low key or not, but you can go online. You can find. There's one really well known one that is online. Anyways, I don't want to go crazy. So back to the story. Shane is talking about how he met this woman. He was talking with her, and she was describing to him what it was like in this school of mystery, what they were learning. And she said that now we're going to Kentucky to hunt the Dogman. And she said to me, or not to me, to Shane, that when they were in class, one of the classes was that they were learning how to open portals. And she described how when they would open these portals, things would come through from the other side. And one of the things that she described seeing was an upright walking dog coming through the portal. And I was like, I'm going to hunt this thing, I'm breaking my neck looking in the back seat at my gun. I'm like, I think I need like a Ghostbuster gun right now. This 12 gauge is not going to do the trick, And so I was a little wigged out, early morning. And, that little story that he shared really kind of put my brain in a different lane for this whole trip, because by the time I reached Kentucky, I felt like I was looking at Dogman in like 10 different ways, and so I came into a room of guys who had all their own perspectives on this thing. Christian was a skeptic. Ward was more occultic and in nature. And Joel, what was your assumptions about Dogman? If they're the same, I don't know. But what did you go into this whole experience thinking Dogman was?
Probably somewhere in between, maybe your earlier thoughts and how Ward thought. Just my experience with demonic entities. I know they can manifest in a lot of different ways. And I think that that's definitely a huge possibility, for sure. I know we had a long conversation on a podcast, well, not a podcast, but it was us talking before we left to go on the trip. And I remember Ward talking about, he had been doing some research about lycanthropy, and he was talking about how that, correct me if I'm wrong, Ward, but, they would put on furs and essentially, put themselves in a state of mind to where if someone came across them, they would project the image of looking like a werewolf or something like that of that nature. I guess in conjunction with the spirit world to create that probably strength and everything else too. But say if me and Ward were going through the woods and somebody had, done this ritual, we would perceive it as being, a werewolf or a Dogman, whereas in actuality, it was a human. I liked that concept when he brought it up. I thought that was really interesting, and it's definitely something I think happens. But I am of the mind that there is actual, cryptids. I'm kind of along the thought of it being, Nephilim hybrids. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. But again, I think it's such a wide scope of what they could be. And I think there's different, people have different, encounters. And I think those encounters could be different things. I don't think they're necessarily one particular thing. And I think, what Christian and I witnessed in the woods that day was something that I don't know if I could put it in that category of either of those.
Yeah. So Jack, let me ask you, I asked the three other guys, okay? And I want to ask you, even though you weren't there and stuff, you are going to be going on with us on these future trips. And just to let people know, I throw Jack under the bus because he's my younger brother, but he had a very good reason as to why he couldn't go. I mean, we sprung a family vacation on everybody in August. He had already bought tickets to go on a 2-week vacation in Hawaii, I think in November. And so he owns his own business and he just couldn't afford another week off of work in such a short period of time. And so there's no hard feelings between me and young Merc. But so Jack, I know you're a skeptic. I know, and I appreciate that. And I like that. I don't want to be in the woods with people who are going to be just, hearing a chipmunk break a stick and like, what was that? I don't want that, And so I appreciate the fact that I have a cast of guys of all four of you that are very level headed with this stuff. I'm probably the most crazy as far as that stuff goes. It's just whoa, jumpy. But so Jack, given that you're a skeptic, you don't believe that these things exist. What do you think people are experiencing then? Do you think that it's on a spiritual level or what? I mean, just kind of throw your opinions out there right now as far as how you stand on not just Dogman, but the cryptid topics.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to go along with kind of what Ward and even Joel have been saying, it does seem to me like that has a lot more credence in my mind. But that's also just kind of, the way that I see a lot of things is a little bit more along the maybe spiritual lens or something like that. So I would assume at least that there's credibility to everybody's experiences because you're seeing something, you're feeling something, you're involved in this situation. So I assume that they're seeing what's going on. But I don't really have any set, thoughts on what exactly everybody's seeing because there's so many different accounts. Everybody sees something slightly different. I've never thought that people would make up all of their stories, but at the same time, I've never seen anything. There's never been documentation, so that's kind of why I like this. I want to go out and see what we can maybe drum up in the woods or wherever else we go.
There's been documentation. You just choose not to believe it, but that's another story.
Yeah, it depends. I guess. I mean, it depends on what you think documentation is. Like, what credible sources would be. I mean, I want to see some. I don't know. Maybe in my mind, the things that were not credible are actually credible.
So I mean, I think you kind of fall in line with the type that basically you're going to have to see it with your own eyes to believe it. Because if you really wanted to look around, there's plenty of things that point to the fact that there's documentation. Like, I mean, there's professor, doctorate level people who spend their entire lives looking at this, like really well respected people. So there's plenty of out there. It's just, it's about threshold level of belief here. And so, I mean, some people, they have a very high threshold where it's just like, I got to see it to believe it. Because if I don't see it, I ain't believing it. And that's you, man, because we were out in the woods. We freaking heard a Bigfoot howl and you heard it. And I'm like, what else could that have been, bro? What else could that have been? You don't even know. When I ask you that question, you're like, I have no idea what that could have been. Well, it was Bigfoot. Definitely not. What? Like tell the people, Jack. Tell the people. You heard it, but you still you don't know. You don't know what it was. You have no idea what it was, but it couldn't have been Bigfoot.
I mean, there's a lot of other things it could have been, though. We were in the woods, so
Jack, I've been in the woods a ton. Hey, listen. I've been in the woods a ton in my life. You've been in the woods a ton in your life. Here's the thing. I've heard that howl before. Every time I've heard that, it was on a recording and the people were saying, Bigfoot. I've never heard that vocalization equated to anything outside of Bigfoot. So I don't know what to tell you, bro. Anyways, on that note, we got to take a commercial break. No, seriously, we do though. But I want to remind everybody halfway through this show and stuff, I'm having a great conversation with the guys. I love talking with Jack, and he gets me riled up. Well, actually, just his presence gets me riled up. I love him though. He's like literally Jack's like he is my best friend, and he's one of my only friends. So I mean, I can't go too hard on him, or else I'll be lonely. So
and then you move away.
Yeah, I know. I'm moving to Tennessee. So, anyways, just to remind everybody, the VIP premiere is on March 11th. This year, and that is going to be accessible on Merkle.media, not Merkle.media.com. It's Merkle.media. Put that in your browser, Merkle.media. It'll take you to the website, and you can sign up to be a VIP. It's $25 a ticket, and when the 11th comes of March, just go to the website, and you'll have access to the documentary live premiere. You'll just have to make sure you're signed in. If you're logged out, just remember your email and password, and you can sign in. For everybody else who does not want to get the early access hype going, that's fine. We're going to be premiering it on YouTube on March 25th, live at 9 p.m. both days, 9 p.m. So on the 11th, show up at 9 p.m. on the website, and you'll have access to it. We're going to go live on the YouTube or on the website. We're going to drop the documentary, and then afterwards, we're going to, God willing, technology work out fine, we're going to do a live Q&A, probably through Zoom, and be able to answer your questions. And hopefully I can have my phone lines open so people can call in, ask questions, and we're going to have a live chat box on the website so people can be chatting in there with other people and asking questions through the chat. Maybe Jack will monitor the chat and stuff, because I know if it's my job, it's not going to happen. So hopefully Jack can hold down the fort on that end. But it's going to be a great time on the 11th, kind of really premiering this work that we did, that we really had a great time doing. I literally, I'm telling you, like, I really feel like we have a really cool product here. And the next few trips that we're planning, I think, are going to be home run grand slam trips if we can pull them off. The one place, legally, we can't just go there, I don't think. I think we need to make sure we have permission. Unless you guys are cool with getting arrested, then, I'm down. Let's roll, so let's have some fun. But, I can tell in Ward's face, he's not down with that. So I'm kidding. Anyways, so
the guy that carries the rifle. It's a week in prison for you. It's
So I can imagine how this goes down. So if we actually did something like that, Ward, like the cops show up and Ward just like tosses the AR to me. He's like, here. So anyways, we got a lot of great trips planned, everybody. But first off, we need to show you the Dogman experience, which is going to be called Expedition Dogman. And it's going to be a VIP premiere on Merkle.media on March 11th at 9 p.m. Go ahead and get your tickets today. Now, on to the business of the business. Friends, let's talk about a great sponsor we have coming up here, and it's a new sponsor, Start Mail. Well, let me ask you guys this. You guys are here, and usually I don't have an audience when it comes to commercials. And let me ask this question directly to Joel, because I know this is right up his alley. Joel, do you think that your free Gmail account is a secure email service of complete, utter privacy?
Absolutely not.
Oh, well, I would say I agree with you, my friend. And so do our friends over at Start Mail. And that's why they have offered people a very secure service when it comes to email providing. And a lot of people, I don't think this way. I know Joel doesn't think this way, but I think that just like normal people who don't think about this crazy stuff all the time. I think that they're like, oh, I deleted my email. It's cool. It's gone forever. It's, no harm, no foul. Prove it kind of thing, like it's gone, prove it. It's never gone, because they collect all this stuff. They save everything. And especially Gmail does this. And so like, if you're going to, want privacy in your life, you got to make sure that you're covering yourself on the digital end of things when it comes to your email servers. And that's where StartMail comes in. And what's great about StartMail is they also offer encryption. Even if the person you're sending the email to does not have encryption, you can encrypt the email on your end, which is a great thing for everybody, really. And also what I would say is that they own their own servers. So that means that when censorship comes, let's rewind here. Recently in the news, some government, I can't remember who, was talking about monitoring bank accounts of their citizens to make sure that they get everybody who was participating in something. I don't know. It escapes me, but I would say that monitoring you online is becoming very popular, and you want a company who's going to fight for your security in that sense, and also own their own servers so that they can't be shut down. We experienced that about a year ago with the social media platform Parler, and they got shut down because they didn't own their own servers. They ran their servers through Amazon, and so Amazon said no more, and they were gone. They were deleted. Not with StartMail. StartMail owns their own servers. You don't have to worry about it. And they're not in this country, so they're not, having to kneel down to the Patriot Act. All that said, friends, you definitely need to start thinking about your security online when it comes to your email providers. If you have a free email service, it's not because it's just very kind of them. It's because you're the product. They're taking your data and they're selling it. Every information that you put out there, it's theirs, and they're taking it and they're selling it. So make sure you're secured online. And right now, start securing your email privacy with StartMail. Sign up today and you'll get 50% off your first year. Go to startmail.com/confessionals. That's StartMail with a T, START, mail.com/confessionals for 50% off your first year. Startmail.com/confessionals. And guys, last thing before I get off this topic, because it actually kind of went a little longer than I imagined, but I will say that my experience with StartMail has been very smooth. The interface is incredibly easy to use. If I think like 90% of the people out there use Gmail or have a Gmail account, they're familiar with that setup. StartMail, very similar. And what I love about it is you don't have to really look around for that encryption thing. I really enjoy the encryption option. It's just a little toggle switch right on the top right-hand corner of the screen. You hit that toggle switch, encrypted. It's absolutely great. So everybody should go ahead and check it out. If you're looking to secure your email service, check out startmail.com/confessionals. All right, guys, back to the fun stuff. Listen, we were just talking a little bit before we went off here because Jack brought it up. That Ward had these different thoughts and opinions going into this journey that really kind of enlightened all of us. And Ward, if you could, I don't know if you can go into great detail or anything, but I think Joel mentioned it. When you brought up down there in Kentucky about how like there was this ritual that you had read about and the putting on the skin, like if you could kind of talk about that, because I think it's a very fascinating line of thought.
Yeah. Okay. So this is pretty crazy, and anyone could clip this and it's going to sound crazy. But are any of you guys familiar with Kenneth Grant?
I'm going to say yes.
All right. So Kenneth Grant was Aleister Crowley's personal secretary, who wrote a lot of books about Crowley's experiences. One of the things that he wrote detailed Crowley's travels in America, which probably coincidentally, right, took him through Kentucky. And Grant talks about Crowley's theory that the Adena and the Hopewell cultures, the mound builder cultures, had opened a portal, like you were talking about, Tony, having this lady talking about things coming through the portals. Crowley theorized that the Adena and the Hopewell cultures had done this. And that could be a possible, like, underlying explanation or reason for why the area with all of these mounds that the Adena left is so active with the high strangeness stuff. So given that, I also came across, in sort of researching this, I was looking for what sort of occult symbolism we might be looking for, if in fact my hypothesis about people doing these lycanthropy rituals was possibly what's going on. I came across a book by, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like a professor at Harvard, I think, who engages in lycanthropy rituals. So he's written an entire book about how he pursued becoming the werewolf. And in the book, he does not claim that he physically transforms into a werewolf, although he hints that there have been physical changes brought on by this ritual working. But he describes several different rituals, one of which to the goddess Hecate, or Hecate, the Greek feminine divine, that's related to just the feminine divine in general, worshipped by Wiccans and witches of all sorts. But Hecate's symbols, her sort of things that you would see. So the thing that you do a ritual invoking Hecate and then something comes across your path, one of those things is the black dog, which is real similar to the Dogman stuff, right? And so, given this theory that this area is in some way, I don't know if you want to think of it as one of Keel's window areas, or that the veil is thinner, or that whatever these things are more active here because of the ritual history of the place that goes back, time out of mind, outside of what we have recorded history. It seemed plausible to me that someone could be tapping into that, pulling that kind of thing through and having a greater effect maybe than they would somewhere else.
So do you think that, and this is a question for anybody that wants to take it, do you think that there really is legitimacy? Because like you mentioned about Kenneth Grant and the tie to Kentucky, do you guys think that this area, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ward, I actually know that you have an opinion on this, but do you think that there is a real legitimacy to some of these legends that are coming out of this area being tied together? Maybe I know the Hellier crew had their own thing going. And, Ward, you're like, you mentioned it earlier, but you didn't drop the name. Dude, drop the name, promote what you're doing. Like you're working on your own, video series, I guess is what TV show. I don't know if TV show is the right terminology or not.
It's a docu-series. Yeah.
Docu-series. That's what it'd be. So and that's based out of West Virginia, but it seems like there's this whole mysterious tie to this area. Quite honestly, it's part of the reason why I'm planning to move to Tennessee, because I want to be closer to it, so I have more access to it. But there's just this whole thing, and Ward, even earlier before we started recording, you mentioned about the podcast Pennyroyal, and I guess season 2. So if you can kind of maybe, Ward, you lead in on this, and if anybody else has any thoughts and stuff, please chime in. But Ward, what are your thoughts on the general area and if there's legitimacy to it? But also, you mentioned about Pennyroyal and I guess the occultic angle or something like that. I couldn't remember what you were saying.
Yeah. So I grew up in Southern West Virginia, and I didn't realize growing up there is just kind of accepted or taken for granted, I guess. It does feel weird now going back, but at the time, of course, it didn't. But I think that there's something related to the mental health crisis and opioid epidemic that's more than just material cause and effect. I think that there is something spiritual to that. And I think that it hits Appalachia particularly hard, not only because of being post-industrial, post-coal mining boom, but also because there's some thing, principality would be the term in my faith tradition we would use for it. There's some, spiritual power here that is dark and influencing people. And I think that the causality flows both ways. I don't want to come across as if I'm saying, everyone that has a mental health issue is a demon behind on their shoulder, or that the other way around, that it's entirely just brain chemistry. I think there's an interrelated causality going on there. And so when you start looking into just high strangeness in the area, it all ends up connecting in weird ways. So the thing that the thread that we're pulling on in Dark Holler, which is my docuseries I've been working on, I think is attached to the same web that Hellier is pulling on, that Nathan Isaac and the guys at Pennyroyal are pulling on. I think that there's though we can't see it, we're all sort of touching ends of the elephant, like blind men in the room with the elephant touching ends of it that we can't, that seem separate until there's these weird synchronistic things that happen that cross over. So one of those things with the Dogman thing that was interesting was one of the characters, or the people in the docuseries, had engaged in worship of Lilith, which is a night goddess, divine feminine figure, and Hecate is very closely related. And in fact, she named Hecate to me as one of the things that she had interacted with. And then to find, when started researching this Dogman thing, that Hecate worship is, linked to this lycanthropy stuff, it was an interesting attachment. And then going back and looking at footage and finding places where like maybe a dog shows up, and it would be, a dog is just a dog until there's, some network of meaning behind it. So, I guess the overall contention that I'm trying to make is that I don't think anything's an accident. And if that's the case, then it either has meaning or it doesn't. And so you get into this weird, like nearly schizophrenic kind of looking at synchronicities and being like, well, that's something. So I don't know if any of that makes sense or helps or whatever, but that's my stab at attempting to answer what you're asking.
Beautiful. So, Joel, do you have any comments on anything like that?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on Ward a little bit. I mean, I'm probably going to go more conspiracy road a little bit, but I do think there's a lot of, especially in national parks, people that have done research in national parks. I mean, there's been a lot of reports of portals and a lot of government activity when it comes to entities that move in and out of these portals, almost like a control over the portals, if that makes any sense. So I think there's a lot of that going on too, in combination with what Ward's talking about.
So I would agree, right? I think that that's quite possible. If that reality is there, I think there are people within, I mean, we have documented church committee 70s. Like, we know that the intelligence agencies looked into this kind of stuff, and that there are people like Michael Aquino is a real guy. So, I agree. I think that the state, the military industrial complex has probably got fingers in this, if it is part of the reality we're living.
I find it fascinating how governments worldwide, not just our government, but are so anti-religion, but yet are so intertwined with religion at the same time. Their own form of religion, if that makes any sense too. A different kind of entity they're worshiping, without going too deep into that. But I think when we start getting into these places, like you said, pulling the thread, we got into that, national park, and the deeper you get into these places, the more you're going to run across. And Ward, you said it perfectly at the beginning of this show. You go in there looking for one thing, and you're going to find something. It might not be what you went in there looking for. And I know Christian can attest to that with me running across something that we have absolutely no idea what that was.
Yeah. So, on that topic and stuff, we're going to keep it general, because I don't want to spoil it for people, but, with that, let's just talk about how that event on day 2, what you guys experienced, because, Joel and Christian, you guys experienced it together. Joel, you experienced it first, and then Christian experienced it with you the second time, back to back. And we'll start with, Christian here. What was when you went through that experience, and then immediately after, okay, so like not like a day or 2 or a week, immediately after that experience, we're standing there, we're talking about it, you and Joel are relaying to everybody what you experienced and what you saw. In that moment, you and Joel actually walked off. And this is looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, why did we ever give the blessing to this? Like something just bizarre, crazy happened. And I'm like, yeah, go head off by yourselves in that direction. See if you can circle around and cut it off and send it back this way. We'll be ready for it, guys. Go ahead. Like I'm thinking to myself, what was I thinking? But the fact is, in that moment, I think the adrenaline took over. We're like, we're here for a reason. Let's go and see what we can figure out. And you guys went off alone to circle around this hillside to see if you could cut off whatever that thing was and send it back our way. In that moment, Christian, what were your thoughts about everything? Because you're going into this as a skeptic. You saw something bizarre and crazy. Where were you? What were you feeling in those moments? Were you confused, excited, convinced? What was going through your mind, man?
The first few seconds were confusion. It's something between reality and what my eyes were seeing. There was no connection there. And then I noticed cues from Joel. We had seen it independently, and we had seen this at 2 different levels from 2 different distances, and we confirmed it later. And those first few seconds, 1 second even, my mind said, this isn't real. And then I see Joel give cues that he's seeing it too. And then the fight or flight response kind of goes away, and I have nothing but adrenaline. And we're there in Kentucky, and you guys can attest to how difficult that terrain was to hike, really. We that first day, I think the first 5 minutes of walking, we were exhausted, and we had no clue what we were in for. When we did our pre-production meetings, we thought, we can drive to the spot, get out. In Kentucky, everything went wrong. It was a beast that week. But then the adrenaline hits. Again, I was unarmed the entire week, but I had maybe the best defense of all when you're hunting the paranormal, and that was a camera. Nothing ever shows itself to a camera, so I felt pretty safe. And Joel was armed, and I don't think any of us were thinking. None of us expected that to happen. We didn't even expect to go that route that day. We didn't expect to end up at that spot. Just by chance, we stopped there, really to take a break. It happened in a moment where we weren't even expecting anything. And we walk, and strange stuff started happening then too. And my mind, it felt like I was a cinematographer in a conflict zone. If you aren't sure what's going to be around the next corner, it wasn't anything. It certainly wasn't anything that intense, but it surely has to feel something like that, where every corner, you don't know if the most unbelievable sight is going to be in front of you. You don't know where the next sound is going to come from. You don't know where the next image that really burns your mind is going to come from. And so I was 2 feet behind him with his shotgun, and hoping that we didn't run across it. But also, the back of my mind, I was really, really hoping to continue the good luck or bad luck that we had just had right then. And was just weird. One of those things to where either you wish the answers would have been a lot more clear in that moment, or you wish you would have never seen it at all. But when it falls in the middle, you constantly think about it, and it just bothers you.
Does it still bother you today?
Yeah, I think so. There was a feeling that I had, and just doing what I do, like, for example, earlier in the year, I was swimming in Florida, and we were swimming very close to sharks. And I've also, been very close to alligator, all these different animals, and none of those, being in close proximity, ever gave me like this primal fear that is just, it's genetic in all humans, and none of the experiences that I've ever been in gave me that really that fight or flight response. And that, I mean, I don't even think I told you guys this, but when in the week after, I was shooting another project, and I was at a friend's house shooting this project, and that's when Ward sent the video. He had found a video of something similar, and he sent that, and I saw the preview for 3 or 4 seconds, and it was exactly what we had seen. And I start tearing up, and I get really shaky. And my friend, she's like, "What's going on?" I couldn't explain that, how it felt to know that someone else saw the exact same thing. Now, I can attest to what that was. Maybe that was completely explainable, but to see it again in a different context, in a different state, that was really kind of an intense, anxiety-filled moment for me.
Yeah. Your description of how you felt, how'd you say it? Dang it, I'm gonna forget. Like, you said you felt like you were in a conflict zone filming or something like that. Like that was something that, like, very descriptive, and taking me back to that moment as somebody who didn't see what you guys saw. I felt like that just because all of a sudden the seriousness of the environment just went to 10, man. Like, me and Kyle were up that hillside. So the reason why we were back there is because we were looking for the water tank out in the woods that the government put in to feed the animals, because we thought it'd be a good spot to bait for a Dogman. And so me and Kyle are going up that hill, and that's when you guys call us. You're like, come back. I'm like, what is going on? And when that happened, like, everything just went elevated. It was just like we were deep into the Daniel Boone, like deep into the Daniel Boone. And for the most of that hike, we were just trotting along. It was a daytime hike, getting familiar with the land. And, we're just talking, and it was good, and then all of a sudden the environment changed and it got real serious. And then we go back at night to that location, and crazy things happen that night with Joel and Ward. And like, should I tell the story? I'll tell the story, and then we'll actually, no. I'll tell this. I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story, but I don't want to get too sidetracked because my brain goes everywhere. I'm a little stupid.
Or is that Joel, VIP knowledge only? That's the selling point.
Maybe we should make a VIP only. VIP. Maybe we'll do VIP. That's what we'll do. What a night. Let's just put it.
Hey, I'll say this though, without you giving away.
Yeah.
I just remember when that was going down and it was dark, and I just remember Ward walking up to me holding an AR, leaning into me. He's like, "I don't really feel good about this right now."
Hey, man.
Well, not only that, but that one rule that Dark Waters gave us.
Yes.
Tony somehow.
That's right. And Christian, he was laughing about that the whole time. He was like, the one rule he told us not to do.
Oh, listen, man. Like, I march to the beat of my own drum. Anybody can attest to this. You tell me what to do. You tell me to do something. I'm going to tell you don't tell me how to live my life. And so I'm going in when I got to go in. So, listen, we'll make that VIP. That was a funny story now that we can look back on it and stuff. And now we're all safe at home. But Joel, in the moment of this bizarre experience and stuff, and like kind of like where I let Christian take over, we're all together, you're relaying that information to us and stuff, like what was going through your mind? I mean, and I'll let you finish. All right, go answer this question, but I'll tell you what, because I already know how you're going to answer this. That your response to the environment in which we found ourselves in after that event cemented in my mind that if we needed somebody to hang off a cliff, you were going to be the guy to do it.
Yeah, when it went down, I mean, I was ready to go. So I'm going to chase anything down. It's just my personality. I will say this, man, Christian is a beast, because I remember getting ready. I was like, let's go. And he's like, I'm good. Anywhere you want to go. I mean, it might have been the adrenaline talking. I don't know. But he even told me later on that night when we were hanging out talking, he's like, listen, man, as long as you got the weapons, I'll be right behind you and I'll film whatever you run up on. So it was pretty good. But yeah, he rolled right out with me and I was ready to go. I mean, I just have a personality that I want to see it. I want to run into it. I feel like if I'm going to die, man, what a way to go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that ending of my life. Like, he got killed by a dog, man. Like, hey, that's cool. Like,
hey, Jack's going to be over here saying, prove it.
But yeah, I will say the incident happened because I was in front. I was actually by myself. So I was in front of Christian. Probably, what do you think, Christian? About 20 feet, maybe? I was ahead of you?
Probably 20.
15? Okay. And it happened to me first.
Close enough to see your hands.
Right. Mm-hmm. Happened to me first. You know, I whipped around to see if anybody was there, and Christian was, and then it happens again. And that's when, you know, we started yelling for you guys. And then we were like, we're going to chase it down. So, Christian and I took off. We had some other wild stuff happen. I want to say this, during when that happened, and I'm sure it'll be in the documentary, and this isn't giving anything away, but Kyle broke down at that moment. If you guys remember, like, he actually was shaking. He was on the path. I know that Tony had to console him. And I'll say this, man, there was something in that area that was heavy. I mean, I've, in my experience with, entities and things, I know when something's heavy, and I can tell you right now, it was heavy in that place. And anytime we went around that area, it was heavy. That night when Ward and I had our experience, it was heavy. When Christian and I took off, when we were a long way away from you guys too. We got pretty deep out there by ourselves, and it was heavy. And there's definitely, whether it's metaphysical or physical or a combination of both. I mean, there's something or a lot of somethings in those woods, and yeah, we definitely made contact for sure.
I think there's a lot in those woods, and not just in Kentucky, but in that region. I think there's a lot in those woods. And I would just say that when we went out there, we went to that specific location. We almost skipped that location. If you remember, we almost went the other direction. And it just makes me wonder what would have happened if we skipped that location. Would we have had any kind of action that we had? It was so random, how it happened and the time it happened, just perfect timing. What you guys saw, I don't think I don't think it was expecting anybody to be back there. We were way back there. So originally when we went down there, Kyle said, first week of October, they open that gate. We can just drive right back there, right up to location, and we're good to go. Well, we get down there, the gate's locked. We're debating, do we get bolt cutters and things like that? We wind up hiking in, which took way longer than we expected. And we're hiking all around. We finally get to an area that we wanted to be at. It's like 2-3 hours later. And, it just, the odds of that all coming together when we were planning on driving in, that affects the timeline, all that stuff. And then I just feel like whatever that was like not happy we were there. It didn't expect us, and it didn't retreat, because when we went out at night, it was still there. And I mean, as far as I think and I'm concerned, and what me and Christian, I can't remember. It's been so long since we filmed. Did I talk about on the documentary what me and Kyle were seeing when you guys went off?
Yeah.
I feel like I forgot to talk about that. Or did I?
Yeah. So there are two kind of separate incidents going on, and when Joel and I got back, we had some odd occurrences on the way back. And then when we kind of got back to where we were, you were freaked out because we were so in the moment that we left without even radios. We couldn't communicate back and forth. We didn't know what was going on with you guys. And part of what really solidified my trust in Kyle's storytelling, and solidified the idea in my mind that he experienced something. Whether he retells it as it exactly happened, I don't know, but he definitely believes that something happened, is when he experienced what I would not describe as anything other than a PTSD episode right after that. And I remember coming back.
Yeah.
And we've got a little stuff out there of Joel investigating later, and we heard we had several different mediums of what we thought may be evidence after that. You were seeing things, Joel was hearing things. It was just a strange place, and that was not even the original place that we were going to go to at night.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, like we were planning on being somewhere totally different, and it's just so random. What I was referring to was, and I'm just gonna tell this detail because I honestly don't know if it even made it in the documentary, because I don't think I talked about it because I might have forgot. But when you guys went off and did your thing, hunting the Dogman alone with no radios, it was so stupid. But I like we got to be more organized next time with this stuff, guys. We got to have a little bit more of a, I don't know, discipline. But I'm back there with Kyle, and like you said, Kyle really took it hard, and you could tell he was going through a PTSD. When he kind of started calming down and relaxing, him and I are standing there, and at this time, Christian and Joel, they're gone. We don't know where they're at. We're hoping, we either see them again or we hear gunshots so we know where to run, like something. At this point, Ward goes off on his own, but he was within vision of myself and Kyle, and he's going up the hillside of where you guys saw it, kind of on the opposite side and angle, kind of like circling in. And during that time, me and Kyle are standing there, and if you guys remember, there's like all that like down trees. Like I don't know if it was multiple trees or one big tree, but it's just like a lot of like fallen trees in that area. Kyle saw it first, and I saw it myself. But Kyle saw, he called it eye shine, and it was, but I don't define it that way, because there was like. We weren't shining lights. It was broad daylight. It was a sunny day, and we were standing there, and it was just one light. But it was like somebody was in this brush, and they had an LED flashlight, and they were turning it on, shining it at us, and then they would turn it off. And I literally walked over to it, couldn't see anything, But when we were standing there looking, it was like they turn it on for a little bit, then it would go away. There's no breeze, no wind blowing, so it's not like leaves are blocking out the light or anything. It's just, it's on and then it's off. And then it's on and then it's off. And it's not moving around, nothing. There's like, you guys can attest to this. Did you guys see any trash out there? It's not like there's some kind of balloon flickering in the trees or something like that. Like, I didn't see any trash out there. I went over to the location where we were seeing this. I didn't see anything. Like, I'm standing right there. I'm like, what was making that? I have no idea. So that's something that we saw while Joel and Christian are off hunting the Dogman, and Ward's off by himself on the hillside with his AR hunting the Dogman, and we're down there looking at, these lights in the forest in the broad daylight. Like, you think about lights in the forest, you're like, nighttime, lights come in, this was broad daylight, like this just bright light in the forest, broad daylight. It was very bizarre. So yeah, Jack, you got any thoughts? Because I have no idea how I got on there. I think that's right. I wanted to share because I'm not sure if it made it to the documentary and stuff. So, all right. So let's kind of change pace here and stuff. We kind of really teased this documentary and stuff. But I do want to make one note based off of what we were talking about earlier with the conversation with Ward here. There is so. Bill Schnoblin, I had him on the show. He claims to like he was a satanic priest, wizard, witch, whatever, and he says that when you reach a certain level, you choose whether you want to become go into vampirism or a werewolf. And he said that he met a man years ago that told him if you ever got to that level that he should choose vampire because becoming a werewolf is one of the most excruciating, painful things you would ever go through. And so there's that occultic tie to this whole topic right there is what people are experiencing kind of along those lines. Now, going the vampire route, Bill says that I think he was at least for months, he was just only eating wafers and human blood. So he would actually, I believe if I remember correctly, he would actually have women come over to his home and he would bite down their neck kind of thing and drink their blood as a ritual, but also eating these wafers or something. That's all he consumed. And it was this whole process of becoming a vampire. So I just don't know what the process would have been for the whole werewolf angle. But, with what Ward described and stuff, maybe there's some kind of tie in there. I don't know. But all that said, guys, I kind of talked about it in the beginning about how much I appreciate you guys and how this kind of all came together. But let's talk about just kind of in general. This is more like this part right here. Let's just make it a brainstorming session, just almost like what I call, Jack, when I was talking to you on the phone, a dream session. Yeah. So, I don't really play games and hide who I am and stuff. I pretty much am who I am. And I dream. I'm 36 years old and I have dreams in my life and I talk about them and I'm like a little kid, kids are like, one day I'm going to be a police officer. That's still me. I dream about, what I plan on doing with life. With Legion of Legends, it started out as literally a vlog that me and Jack were planning on doing, where we're just going to go out in the woods, with our 2 cameras and shoot video and see what happens, and chop it up, make it entertaining and put it on YouTube. And so that was the original plan. We have a couple videos out like that. I'm telling everybody now that what that was, that kind of format, the audience needs to understand that's no longer Legion of Legends. Me and Jack are going to have to come up with a different name for that. We'll figure it out. We are not going to bastardize Legion of Legends with what we do, because what we did in Kentucky is on such a high level professionalism that doing any other little thing like that, I just don't like the idea of it. So Legion of Legends is now officially documentaries based off of legends we've heard about from the Confessionals, where us 5 guys go out and we hunt these things down. Going into Kentucky, I wasn't sure if this 5-man crew here was going to be the crew moving forward. I didn't know if they would want to. I didn't know if we'd all get along. I was hoping nobody would argue because I just didn't know. But the chemistry went so well that we all committed to working together more and pursuing this. I want the audience to know that this is not something that we're just taking lightly. We are really trying to do this on a professional level, on a big level, as much as we can. And that's why we're doing the VIP, because when I initially committed to doing this, I had no idea what the cost was going to be, and neither did my wife. She had no idea when she said but I think when it was all said and done, I spent at least $5,000 on this trip because of all the different things I had to do. And so moving forward, we want to produce a really high level quality product for everybody to enjoy and consume, but also so that there's actual value there so that we can afford to go on the next trips. So moving forward, guys, this is the crew. And I guess we kind of discussed this a little bit before, but I'll just kind of lay it out there for the audience to know. Christian is extremely good at seeing the storyline of what we're doing as we're doing it. I don't know, Christian, how you got like that. Is that just like a natural gift, or is that something you had to work on, or just from doing stuff so much you kind of picked that up, or what?
A little bit of everything. I think Award definitely has that as well. You can see how things start to tie together. This documentary itself is quite airy. This is one where you will feel like you're there with us. Really, when we got to Kentucky, we knew that this would be somewhere between above a YouTube video, but below, having $50,000 to research, go out, get everything you want. This is very much, you spend a lot on it, but in terms of film, this is very much a micro budget documentary. And we were able to still do a lot with that. So it's a really cool feeling, and I think we can expand upon it. We can improve on efficiency in the future. We can improve on the way that we tell stories. But I think the way I got into it is just research. I've always loved to study people and stories, and I just love where they take you. I know you guys came in with preconceived notions of what you'd find, what it was. I really just came with a camera, and that was the extension of my own curiosity.
Gotcha. So, all right. So Christian just kind of like downplayed himself, I feel. What's up?
I do want to say, Christian's work is fantastic, and it was very helpful being down there, having seen some of the stuff that you had done previously, Christian. I knew that if we got good footage, you were going to make it good. And I don't think that, it was very much micro budget. That's true. But I don't think that anything in this genre is out there approaching this production quality. Like it's, everything that I've seen from the trailers and previews that we've seen looks really, really good. And I think I would, as I sit here thinking about it, I would put it up against anything that's out there in this genre for sure.
So go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say, as a bystander, someone who is on the outside of this project in particular, seeing the trailer, I was extremely jealous that I wasn't there. And not only did I hear all of your stories apart from what we've already shared on the podcast, seeing that, I was like, I cannot imagine what I'm going to see from the actual documentary. And then, it's just, it looks so good. It's ridiculous. So yeah, kudos to you guys, honestly.
Go ahead.
One of the rules that we broke that week, and one that I wanted to break, is one that TV is afraid to, and that's to acknowledge that really none of us were crew. We didn't make that distinction. We were all investigators, whether we were carrying a camera or carrying a microphone or not. We were all investigators. And so it's very, just like I said, airy. You know, you've got the feel of being there because we aren't afraid to show. I wasn't afraid to show Ward filming. Ward was not afraid to show me filming. So it gives you the feeling of literally being there. It reminds me of a lot of, I mean, even going back to like the kind of conflict zone cinematography that goes on. A lot of that is very rule breaking. You're just there with a camera. You don't really have a set job. There's not a beat, that's what you call in the industry, kind of a theme that you're looking to get out of it. We were there following the story. Some of us were carrying equipment, some of us were carrying guns, and that's really what came out of it. It's not pulled in any way in any direction. Documentaries, even if they try to be completely in the middle, oftentimes because they are produced by humans and they are produced by selective editing, you can always have a choice of what direction you want to take that. But this is very much, you know, we go and we follow this story. And it's interesting to finally put, a lot of people have heard this story and imagined what the scenario would look like. And I know all of us, when we showed up, we had it was completely different than what any of us were expecting. And, unfortunately, we've all, we wanted to put a face to Kyle, but his face is blurred and covered in all of our shots. But other than that, you can really see the environment that he was dealing with and really feel like you're there. It's a really good film for a person who believes in what ifs.
That's beautifully said. Really is. That's the show, everybody. Christian just wrapped it up. But no, you're absolutely right. And you know, just to let everybody know, yeah, you're right. We blurred out the face of Kyle because per his request and stuff. But it is Kyle. You hear his voice. But I want to just kind of lay this out for everybody so that everybody understands what Christian was saying. This is very much different than what we've seen on TV because it's not like we have all specific roles. And that's something I kind of started trying to define and stuff when we especially after this trip and stuff, like, okay, so we got this guy, what title are we going to give this guy? And it's just like, you know what? We're everything guys, you know, like I don't know how to do a camera, so I'm not a cameraman, but you two do know how to do a camera. Me, Joel and Jack, we're everything guys. What do you need and stuff? Joel, go jump off the cliff. And if you need help, I'll go down next and I'll try to help. And, but Joel can go first, you know? And so, but like, you know, and Jack is the last one because I need somebody to tell the tale and raise my kids, you know? So like, Jack is if something happens to me and my wife, Jack is the one that's supposed to take care of my kids. So he needs to stay breathing. But you know, it's really just a very organic feel. I do want to kind of give, again, circle back to you two, Christian and Ward, because I think the audience deserves to know this. You guys have, listen, I didn't go on Craigslist and say, I need a local film guy. You guys have professional experiences that you bring to the table. This is not just like, oh, we lucked into having something that turned out to look kind of professional. We have two guys on this crew who have extensive experiences working professionally in these different fields. Christian is doing his own thing with treasure hunting, but you've been featured on TV and stuff. Oak Island, you were on Oak Island, and different channels like that. And you're working on different things. I'll just leave it at that because I don't know if I can say any more. But you're working on other things, Christian, and you're very professional in what you do. Ward, you have a history of filming. You still do this. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what you do for a living still, right? Full time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like this is what you do. And, you know, I think you said, I think it was 2012 or something like that. Back in the day, you actually filmed for Glenn Beck at the Blaze. I mean, so like this isn't like, Ward says, yes, I'm a professional because I went to tech school and I got a degree, a credit in film. Like you actually did this on a very professional level. So like, we're really lucky to have you two out in the field with us, because if it wasn't for you two being out there with us, I would be literally out there with my Sony and Panasonic holding it on a tripod, walking around with crappy microphones and just being like, I guess this is how it's going to work, you know? And so like, we'll save that for me and Jack on our solo missions. Okay. But Legion of Legends, you two really brought something to the table that made me feel comfortable saying Legion of Legends is no longer what I was thinking it was going to be with me and Jack. It's something totally different. Like this trip took me from thinking that we were going to make this Legion of Legends just like I was thinking to, oh, this is a professional documentary. And that's when like my verbiage started changing. I started calling this is a documentary. And like after we came back from the trip and everybody's saying, when's the documentary or when's the Dogman video coming out? I'm like, it's a documentary. Every time somebody said, when's the video coming? It's a documentary. It's not a video. This is not anything that you ever saw me come out with on YouTube. This is something totally on another level. And I just want people to understand that this is for real. And so I just wanted to kind of really spend some time talking about YouTube, because I really do believe that if it wasn't for YouTube being on this team, we would just be three goofballs with the cameras walking around in the woods, bumping into trees in the dark. I mean, I think that's what would happen. So I really wanted to kind of give you guys respect on that.
And those cameras may not have audio.
Yeah. Yes. Oh gosh. Anybody who doesn't know what that reference is, when we heard that Bigfoot howl, it turns out we had a broken microphone on the one camera we had running, because I had turned mine off because I was doing an EVP session with the K2. So yeah, sucked. But anyways, this is the team. And guys, moving forward, I'm really excited about the journeys we have. If we had things set in stone on the journeys that we're planning and stuff, we would talk about them more, but I don't want to give things away, especially if it doesn't wind up turning out. Before we get out of here, though, I want to, make sure before I forget, everybody shout out everything you want to shout out and stuff. Jack, you're nothing, so don't worry about it. But, well, Jack doesn't do anything on social media. He just hangs out with me. Like we already shouted out Jack's email. That's basically what he has to shout out. I mean, he doesn't even like touching social media. So, but I love you, man. So like I wanted to just touch on this too. And this is another thing that has to be vague, but because I've talked about this several times publicly on recordings that haven't been aired yet, I talked about it on my Christmas Eve show. I talked about the new story that I came across. And you guys have a behind the scenes look at it. Nobody else does. It's just you guys and very few people out there that the stories pertain to that I've had on the show in the past. I've sent them some audio, but I'm working on this new podcast. It's going to be a while, guys, because I'm literally in the middle of, I just sold my house last week and I'm trying to buy a house in Tennessee, not having great luck. So I might be homeless in 2 months. So just be patient. But with that said, that reminds me of another thing I want to talk about too, but, this story that I'm working on, you guys have access to. It's bizarre. I have a very hard time debunking it because of certain very specific details that have been presented that I personally physically have possession of things that prove certain dates that back up this whole thing. I just wanted to bring that up because I've been teasing it a little bit whenever it comes up on my show. I mean, I'm talking to somebody and it comes up. I just want you guys to either nod your heads or just say, yes, the story's real. I'm not blowing smoke and it is bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. So
I think
Go ahead.
I think it also appeals to multiple demographics and multiple levels of belief. For example, like I'm typically, there are certain things that I 100% believe in, and there are things that I just want to see. This is one of those stories you can follow along independently if you're into kind of the psychology behind it. You would like it, or if you are 100% just looking for a kind of a sci-fi story to follow, very intriguing. I think it would appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm right now I'm still trying to get that guy in South Africa to talk to me. I don't think it's going to happen, but I found some people all over the world that I think tie into this specific story. But there's just so many different paths and angles to go down with thought process. I think that this thing involves a lot of people in this world. I know it involves some people that I've had on the show before this story was presented to me, because the parallels of the stories are way too accurate to say that it's nothing, that it's unrelated. So I just wanted to bring that up. I made a note here. I wanted to bring that up before I ended the recording with you guys, because you four are guys who could back me up saying the story's crazy, it's real, he's working on it, be patient. So last but not least, before we give shout outs and drop your information and everything, guys, I also want to, I mentioned a couple of times here that I am moving to Tennessee. That said, one, if there ever is a Tuesday or Thursday that a show doesn't drop, just know that I'm probably moving, or I'm stuck in traffic because I went to Tennessee to look at a house or something like that. It's a 10-hour drive. But that said, this move to Tennessee, I'm excited about being near Kentucky and the mysteriousness. Tennessee has its own mysteriousness, that whole area. Very excited about that. But also with what we're doing, and like I mentioned earlier about how I'm a dreamer. I dream big, and I come very short of saying I manifest things through my thinking. I don't really jive with that thought process. If you do, it's cool. It's just not really how I think. But I'm a huge dreamer, and I do think that through my dreaming of life and getting excited about it, I do tend to make things happen because, I don't know, I take action on things. That said, moving to Tennessee, one of my goals is to make this whole thing bigger. Merkel Media, podcasts, podcasting, documentaries, shooting video, all that stuff. And ultimately, what I would love to do is have a commercial building facility where I have multiple recording studios that I can even open up to public for people who want to have a podcast, but they don't have recording space, but also video shooting studios, special effects studios, and really take the documentary stuff to another level where the audio is out through the roof, the video shooting is through the roof. We can do, different things like, we're shooting video out in the field, but then we also have like this special effects studio where we can do cool stuff as well. That's the kind of the angle that I'm looking for long term, and I really want to do this so big that when I go to Tennessee and I'm doing this, it becomes like irresistible for other content creators. And what I would like to do is turn the area that I moved to in Tennessee. I'm not going to drop the area right now. I'm sure people will figure out eventually. But what I would like to do is turn that area, that city, into what LA was for Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan had his podcast where all his friends were there. They could swing through the studio. They put on a show. It was hunky-dory. They all hung out at the comedy club. It was just a hangout session all the time. Like, I kind of want this city to turn into that for us as the paranormal, the conspiratorial type community, the treasure hunting community, like just the mysterious side of life. All these podcasts, like I'm connected to all these different podcasters and stuff, and I would love to see if I could build something, that phrase of if you build it, they will come. Like if I can build something so attractive that the other people in the community are just like, I gotta go. I gotta freaking get down there and just be a part of this. And so that's a little bit of the mind of Tony. Late at night, I'm thinking about things and I'm dreaming about life and stuff. That's kind of where my brain is right now. I'm really, really dreaming big with Merkel Media, the Confessionals, my other podcast, Hammer Lane Legends, that I do with me and my dad. If you have not checked that show out, check it out, especially last week's show and last week's show and tomorrow's show. You definitely want to check those out. If you are, just please
go check it out. But the Confessionals, Hammer Lane Legends, I produce other people's podcasts. Some of them I can't talk about because they prefer to be, a separate thing, a separate entity, just me working behind the scenes. But I can talk about macroaggressions with Charlie Robinson, all these different podcasts I work with. I want to do these documentaries. It's just, I'm really trying to go big. I spent the better part of 5 years in a tractor trailer building a podcast and just having all this time to dream about life and dreaming where this could possibly go and why not, why not me? And I've gotten this far. I want to go to the next level now. And so those are the goals. Those are the dreams. And part of the documentaries is I would like to get them so big that all 4 of you have no choice but to quit your jobs and come down to Tennessee and work with me full time on making documentaries. I think that would be amazing. Don't you? It'd be great. So, listen, guys, let's do around here in the circle. Drop your social media, what you guys are doing right now, what you want people to follow. Jack, we'll start with you. Drop all your stuff.
All my stuff.
That's why I did it, bro. That's what I did. You can tell them to follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, you can go to, I don't even know what my Instagram is, so Tony will put it in the description.
Listen, let me tell you guys something. Jack is the youngest, I think he's the youngest. I think he's younger than Christian. But dude, you're a millennial, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And you barely know how to use social media. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
I hate it.
All right. Anyways,
posts, I like everybody. I see everybody's posts, so I like them.
There you go. So, all right, you guys can follow Jack on social media, on Instagram. I'll put it in the description, and you can also email him and tell him your thoughts. All right, Christian, you're up, man.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Christian B. Roper. A lot more active on Instagram. And currently finishing a docuseries about a pirate treasure legend in Texas called Sunken Silver. That'll be out soon.
I can't wait.
And a couple other things in development.
To be announced hopefully soon, but I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to see what you've been working on. You've been talking to me about that for years, actually, since we met each other. So I'm really excited to see that thing finally come to fruition. Joel, man, you got a lot of stuff been going on. Talk about it.
Yeah, probably the best place to find me is Instagram. If you go to the link tree there, you can go to everywhere else. I've got a lot going on right now on a lot of different social media sites. So you can get there. Just finished the new album. Pretty excited about that. I know we've got some plans, Tony, next month for the drop, and have some other podcasters involved. We're going to talk conspiracies and talk to music too, which will be pretty cool. We will get with everybody a date on that once Tony gets settled and in his new digs. Funny enough, Ward and I will be shooting the first music video this weekend for the project, and We'll be shooting a second music video a week or two after that. So we are both in Ohio, so it just kind of works out really well for us to get that going. So at Van_Tesla_ you can get access to everything I got going on. I got a lot of videos, a lot of things I'm putting out. So
yeah, that's Van Tesla. We had you on the show. We're talking music and everything else in between. And I'll just, you hit on it. I would like to do it before we get out of the studio, just because it would look better for the video purposes of everything, because I don't know what my studio is going to look like when I first move. But what we're planning on doing is like a collaboration with me, you, and other podcasters on your YouTube channel. And we're just it's basically like an album release party. We're going to play some music, have great conversation. So tell people what the YouTube channel is so they can go follow it now so they don't miss it.
Yeah, it's just going to be youtube.com/VanTesla1. So it's all together. You can catch it there. Start following me there. I've got some videos up now. Ward and I will have the first music video up pretty soon, because I just dropped the first single off the album called Joel Psalm. So it's going to be a pretty exciting project. Definitely with you, Tony, and other podcasters, we'll get a a great conglomerate of different minds of different subjects when it comes to conspiracies and everything else. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Ward, last but not least, what's up, man?
Yeah, you can find my docuseries. It's coming out. It touches on demon possession and exorcism and high strangeness and generational curses and craziness. Coming out, hopefully, first episode the next few weeks. You can find that at Dark Holler Film on Instagram and Facebook, and darkhollerfilm.com as a website. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate all you guys being here, pulling the overtime hours here with me. Just to let everybody know, you can go ahead and follow Legion of Legends on Instagram, Legion_of_legends. Follow the Confessionals. You can follow me, Tony Merkel Official, on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram, so go ahead and follow me there. And friends, last but not least, before we get out of here, the VIP premiere of Expedition Dogman is March 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on Merkel.media, not .com, Merkel.media. Just go to Merkel.media, sign up to become a VIP. It's $25 one-time fee, and you'll have instant access to the private pages where we will be broadcasting live Expedition Dogman on March 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for everybody else who does not want to jumpstart on the viewing, you can see the documentary on March 25th on the Confessionals YouTube channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friends, thank you very much for tuning in. We really do appreciate you being here. Every penny that we earn from this VIP premiere is going to be going right back into Legion of Legends for the next trip so that we can go and kill monsters. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. So I just made like half the people just turned it on. They're like, oh, he's going to kill it. I'm done. I'm not doing it. Anyways, we really do appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to the conversation. Hopefully you guys gained a lot out of it and it tickled your ears. And until next week, friends, stay safe, take care, and remember, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. Bye.
My fantasies always consisted of making it big. My soul was nothing more than a bargaining chip. Marketing is what they tell you to do and what you're willing to give. LARPing to the fullest extent. I don't wait, I shoot first like Han on a Rodian. These people don't understand me like reading a Nokian. Stretched thin, like pulling an accordion. My heart ain't primordium. All these historians telling us lies, setting aside everything is medicalized. Politicians selling the ride. I bet 'em a die where the relevance lies. They dressing alike reptilians. My resilience is brilliant. I'm here to lead the rebellion on Hellion, salient, alien with no melanin. I'm a Yeti, ain't hiding from Armageddon.